Hello guys, so this is part 3 of the angel mask. As you can see, it's already been trimmed and sanded. I'm just priming it here. I just felt like nobody wants to see 2 hours of sanding and trimming, so I did it off camera. I gave it a couple of coats of automotive primer and then I switched to gloss white for base color after I wet sanded it. Here you can see the end result. This is called computer mesh, at least that's how I searched it on Amazon. It was recommended by another cosplayer and it really works fine for what I'm about to do here because it has great visibility when you use it, and because it's plastic it's easy to paint and cut. I'll be hot gluing them in each of the diamond designs that I made all around. And you can see here how it looks. I did a little test. You can see it has nice visibility. Here I'm working on some wooden studs for the wings. This is how I'm gonna attach them to the rings. Just checking for fitment one more time and where I need to cut. Then I'm using my little hobby saw to cut 4 pieces. And then combine with a piece of popsicle stick. Glue them together with super glue. And this is what will provide the support for the wings later on. As you can see, they just slide right in. Here you can see how they look and how they slide in. Just a simple design, but it works great. I'm gonna drill some holes to slide in aluminum wire. I will slide in these holes the aluminum wire and cut them to shape and give it the form of the wing just by bending it by hand and eyeballing, looking at the reference and see what I like. It took a while to figure it out and to make it symmetrical, but it really looked great at the end. Here you can see me, I'm just using some regular pliers to cut and bend them. Aluminum wire is so easy to work with and to shape and bend as you like. That's why I chose this method. I'm just trying to make both sides look symmetrical. Like I said before, it was kind of tricky and I'm just eyeballing everything right now, but later on you can compensate with the epoxy putty I'm about to use with it. After I finish shaping the wire, I'm gonna use hot glue to set it in place. All this is gonna be covered in freeform air putty, so it doesn't matter how much hot glue you use, just make sure it's sturdy. I'm gonna be masking the area that I need to protect from the epoxy putty. That way it won't stick to the surface of the rings, and hopefully it will be easier to remove. Freeform air, I love this stuff. I order gallons of it each time because it's really good to scratch build parts, to reinforce, and it's also very strong and very light and easy to sand. That is the most important thing. And it really leaves a clean looking, like smooth surface after you finish sanding it. And I like it because it's not as heavy as Bondo and as toxic. You can smooth it with water, just like I did on my previous video when mold making the shell. Here you can see everything covered in the putty, all cured and ready to be shaped. I'm gonna heat up the glue to remove them, and then I'll be able to handle them better for sanding. That actually worked better than I expected. I'm gonna be shaping it with some carbide bits and sanding drums with my 4-dome rotary tool, and then I'm gonna do some sanding by hand. I noticed some imperfections, so I'll be adding more freeform putty to fill up some gaps and holes, making it even and smooth again. I went into Google searching for wing patterns, and this is the one I chose. I'll be printing it a couple of times in paper and cardstock to make some templates that then I can trace into foam. I'll be tracing and cutting my pattern into this 3mm foam, and that will make the base layer for the feathers. I gotta repeat this process 6 times. I'm using needles to stick the pattern and so that stays in place, and then just tracing it with a regular Sharpie. Like I said, I printed several of the wings in cardstock because I need to cut them into 4 layers. Here I got them numbered, and I'm gonna start dividing them. All these next layers that are gonna become the feathers, I'm gonna be using these SKS props 1mm foam. I gotta repeat the process several times because the feathers will be front and back of each wing. This was really tedious, and it took a while to trace all those patterns into the foam, getting them cut, but you're gonna see in a bit it was really worth it. Since the wing pattern was randomly chosen from internet, it still needed a little bit of modification to make it work. Here I'm just cutting alongside the structure, the bone you might say, and then when I feel happy with the shape, I'm gonna hot glue it to the bone. I'm gonna repeat the process for each of the wings and for the other side too. More cutting and shaping, just trying to make it work and look good. So after I thought I finished cutting everything, I decided to cut the feathers like this just to make it look more realistic. And I'm glad I did because it really made the huge difference. Some heating and shaping and bending, just trying to get that like natural feather look. Then I will be attaching them using contact cement and repeat the process for all of the wings. Just gonna cut to shape every layer alongside the bone, glue it with the contact cement and just trying to like stretch it and bend it because this is 1 millimeter foam. It's so easy to just like stretch and bend to shape. You gotta be careful with this thin foam though because it's very fragile. Can use a lot of heat or a lot of glue or it will just get messed up. I'm gonna use my Sharpie to draw a line where I need to cut and reshape the pattern. And then I'm just gonna keep repeating the process until I'm happy with how it looks. So remember I said I have to make the same thing front and back. So it will be 4 layers front and 4 layers in the back of each wings. So that will be 12 for each side. Here you can see how it looks front and back, so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. And here is a quick test just to see how it looks overall. Pretty nice. I love it when it works better than expected, but I still have to figure out a way to cover the top of the wing. So that's what I'm doing here with the foam clay. I thought I could just put a whole layer and cover everything and then sculpt it by hand like I do with regular clay, but that really didn't work. It was too much work to sculpt one by one all those feathers, so I scrapped it like you see here. And then I had the magnificent idea of doing feathers one by one. Like, yeah, I use Elmer glue to kind of like lay a little coat and make it stickier. I didn't know if it was going to work, but it really worked better than expected. The foam clay was sticking nice, so I just needed to repeat this process until everything was covered. I had to repeat the process on both sides, as you can see here, but it was really like a therapeutic thing. It wasn't really that bad. I really enjoy making this technique. Here you can see how it's starting to look. It looks great to me, and you can see the structure that I had to do with my clamps just to hold it in place while I work. Then I start laying more Elmer's glue to go around with the foam clay and finish the whole wing. Just repeating the process until I cover everything. This will take a while, so I'm gonna put you guys some time lapse so you can see the end result quicker. And here's the end result of the first wing, and I am loving it. Now I got to repeat it in all of the other wings. Here's the first set of wings finished, and look at that. I hope it looks good when I have to paint it. because now in white and gray it looks great, like feathers, like angel feathers supposed to be, but the mask is going to be gold. Here's some gems that I bought from Colts 3D. They're called kite gems, and I'm gonna be printing a lot of them in my Creality SLA printer. And then I'm gonna give it a good cleanup with alcohol, as you can see here, just rinsing them. After this, I'm gonna dry them out and leave on my cure station for a couple of minutes. I forgot to take a video of my UV cure station, but you can see it next to the printer. It's like a yellow plexiglass thing. It's just a pretty common setup, nothing fancy. Here I am just cutting them and classifying them because I printed 3 different sizes. I made some markings with the Sharpie on the middle of the eyes, top and bottom. That's where I'm gonna glue the biggest gem. This is the big size gem, top and bottom. You can see how it looks. And I'm gonna proceed to glue the medium ones next to it. I printed 3 sizes, I think, maybe 4, but I ended up just using 2 because I like how it looks. Sometimes less is more, and I really didn't want it to look aggressive, kind of like subtle. Here I was just making a test to see how everything looked together. So now I'm gonna use my clamps to hold them in place again and start prepping for the rubber to seal the foam. I will be using Creature Cast. I think mine is semi-rigid, and I'll be using this cheap airbrush from Harbor Freight, but it works great. It's my favorite one to spray rubber. I think it was like $13 on Harbor Freight. I'm gonna give it 3 coats each and use my little heat gun to just speed up the process. Here you can see it has a little bit of texture, but I really like it. I think it will give like depth to the feather effect. Here I'm giving it the second coat and the third coat, and then I'm just gonna lay it down on the floor in front of the fan, so I will not be applying heat to the last coat, because if you add too much heat or use the heat gun too close, it will detach from the phone and make bubbles, so you don't want that. You want it to cure naturally. Here you can see how it looks after the third coat and it's already dried. So now I'm gonna start masking all the eyes. This masking tape is Tamiya imitation I found on Amazon, but works great just like Tamiya. Here I'm just using a sculpting tool and my X-Acto blade to like push all the edges and make sure there's a tight seal so I don't get overspray. Here's how everything looks, all masked up, ready for paint. Just good old rose oleum, nothing fancy. I'm gonna give 3 coats of this to each side of the wings and also 3 coats to the main mask. Here I'm on my storage. It's a well ventilated area, but you should still use a mask when spray painting. I forgot to bring it with me when I went to the storage. You can see here the end result of the wings after the 3rd coat. They're looking good. Now I'm gonna do the same with the mask, and then I can seal everything. For the 3 coats of gold, this is how it looks. It will lose some of that shine later on when I seal it, but I like to seal my stuff because it gives extra protection. So I'll be unmasking everything and inspecting it for overspray, and if everything looks good, I'm gonna start painting all the parts that need to be painted by hand. So I made this DIY pillow because now with the gems it kinda like spiky and I cannot lay it down on the table without some cushion or it will get damaged. I'm gonna be using my favorite acrylic paints. I'm gonna start with giving it a little bit of a different tone of gold on the edge of the eye. This is a different tone of gold, so it will really make it pop a little bit more. Eyes will be blue, so here I'm just choosing my colors first. I'm starting with the dark blue and then I'll work my way up to the lightest. These are my favorite paints, but you need to give it a couple of layers in order to cover up like this. So just take your time, wait from layer to layer so you can build up like more darken the color. Here I just found some overspray in the eye and was just covering it with some white. Then I'm gonna proceed to work my way with the lighter blue and give it some nice little details to the iris, trying to make it look more realistic. I am loving it so far. I think it looks great. I'm gonna be doing some little dots with black just to give it that little touch. So this is my favorite sealer. I use it for everything. Like I don't really use clear coat. I use this stuff. Now that everything's sealed up, I'm gonna start adding the rhinestones. So the rhinestones was my idea because I really wanted to make it pop even more, and I'm glad the customer agreed to it because you're gonna see at the end how much better it looks with the rhinestones. So it's time to move on to the padding. I'm gonna use this foam. This is what I use for all my helmets. It's already black, so you don't need to cover it or anything like that. I'll be using these M3 rivet nuts because I really didn't know if I was gonna glue the wings in place like permanently, and at the last minute I decided I wanted them to be detachable because it will make it easier for moving or traveling or even shipping it to the customer. So yeah, again, nothing fancy, just using masking tape to protect from the drilling. These holes will be to pass the bolts and grab the nut, and then I'll be just drilling some holes on the wings and just attach the rivet nut with some super glue. Here I'm making a quick test just to check that everything works properly before proceeding. I'm gonna start cutting the foam for the padding. I decided I will cut 6 pieces about 2" each, and I will glue it on the eyes from the inside because that's how I think it will look better. And then I will hot glue them from the inside like I said. I'm using that black hot glue. Is just, you can use just regular hot glue. It is just I had this from my Starro mask I used to make. Quick test to see if it will hold up by itself. And just inspecting, as you can see here, some of the padding won't touch the head, so I need to add more. I added to those ones that wasn't touching about 1/4" more padding, and then hot glue them together. And then I didn't like how the padding looked when you're looking from the top of the head. So I started designing a little like gears pattern, kind of like making it look like gears. You see how it looks, the pattern in here? I didn't like that. So I started working on this pattern, just measuring and making sure it looks good. I didn't know if it was going to look good. I had the idea, but you never know until you really see the end result. After I got my design done and my template made, I'm tracing it to the, I think this is 1/4 inch foam if I'm not mistaken, and then I will use my X-Acto blade to cut them. And here's how they look. I'm gonna be testing them to see if I like it, and yeah, I think it will work pretty good. Now I just need to do the same process I did with the wings: rubber, heat gun, and paint. I will be using Liquitex airbrush medium to dilute my acrylic, and I'll be spraying it with my airbrush. Seal them with the Mod Podge, and this is how they look. Getting them ready to glue them to the mask. I'm just gonna be adding a little piece of 2mm foam to each of the tabs of the new piece that I made, and I'll be hot gluing them to the S16 padding I already have on the mask. Again, this black hot glue is the same thing. You can use regular hot glue. This is just leftovers that I had from a previous mask. Here you can see it looks so much better when it covers the padding, and I'll be putting everything together for the final result. So here it is finished, and I gotta say I'm loving it. I didn't know it was going to look this good. Everywhere that I shared and the people that I show it to, they get crazy with it. They said it's so beautiful, and I agree. This is one of my most beautiful pieces I have created, and I hope you guys like it, and I hope the customer like it, and I couldn't wait to try it. Or I was just hoping it had good movement, good visibility, and it will stay in place while I move my head. Because one thing is making the prop, but another thing is making sure it performs how it should. So everything's good to go. I'm gonna prepare this to ship it to the owner. And if you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe, as this will help me grow my channel. And I'll see you on the next one.